Okay, so I am starting streaming. I've done this before, but I'm looking to start it up again. There's some construction stuff going on downstairs, so there'll be some noise. But yeah, I wanted to visit a TierZoo, the latest TierZoo uh list. I'm familiar with TierZoo as well as Casual Geographic. They both just released their own respective videos on animals, and I wanted to react to these live. So now let's get into them. I know a bit about animals. I'm kind of an amateur zoologist like that, but let's get into it. So first video. Let's see how this goes. Okay, jumping
This episode is
spider.
sponsored by War Thunder.
I'll let the ads play.
Arthropods have been one of the most dominant factions in the game since pretty much.
Yeah, yes, the Cambrian explosion. Yeah, some probably the most out there looking animals of Earth's history. Before then, life was pretty simple, so there wasn't much to go on there. So, but yeah, the Cambrian is definitely one of my more favorite times.
The very beginning. The safety provided by their tough
Then,
exoskeleton gave the arthropod player base a lot of room
this
to experiment with their
Carboniferous,
builds.
yeah, Carboniferous.
One of the most successful examples is the spider, a unique arthropod build.
Not an actual spider. That Megarachne, I believe, was a Eurypterid sea scorpion. They thought it was a spider because of its general body form, until it was discovered that yeah, it's not a spider at all. Also forgot to mention webcam, but
With a
yeah.
whole arsenal of powerful abilities. But just how broken are spiders? Today, we're discussing their stats,
Uh,
special abilities,
Compared to
and
those
even
birds,
features to demonstrate just how overpowered they truly are. But before we get
protecting
into all of their busted
babies,
attributes,
I assume.
first we have to talk about the least overpowered thing about them, their base stats. While spiders are some of the most effective predators the game has ever known, it's not because their raw stats are anything special. In fact, if anything, their
Right.
stats make them look pretty pathetic at first glance. There's a
Hold on. Let me go. Let's see if I can go slightly back here. Better look at the stats. So intelligence, yeah, nothing special. That's to be expected with any cold-blooded animal, usually, much less uh, arthropods like spiders. But let's see here. Yeah, power, nothing special. Defense, best they got is a bite, maybe. Mobility, I feel like their mobility's maybe not. It's depending on the spider. HP, very easy to not keep alive. Stealth, they're small, so they can fit into cracks and crevices, as well as perception, I believe that is. Yeah.
there's a common misconception that spiders are like absurdly strong for their size, and
Uh,
although they can indeed lift things 10 times their own body weight, that
that's also just a general thing with insects. Insects, their exoskeletons tend to give them more strength for how small they are. Did I say insects? I meant arthropods because spiders aren't insects.
that's honestly not even par for the course when it comes to their weight class. The real kings of the strength category, builds like the ant and beetle, are
Right.
several times stronger. In fact, much of the spider's skill set
I
is
assume it means for their body mass because again, uh, these animals clearly aren't strong. How we would look at it, you have to analyze it from a perspective of their overall size rather than just strength alone.
is tailored around allowing spiders to take down large prey without needing to be strong enough to physically restrain it themselves. Defensively, things are even worse. Spiders have some of the worst armor of any arthropod.
Yeah.
Despite being more closely related to scorpions, their exoskeleton is more akin to that of a soft, plump caterpillar than anything else.
Yeah, that is true. Like there are insects with a lot better armor, and yeah, they're both arachnids, spiders and scorpions, as opposed to insects. But yeah, insects. There are plenty of insects with better armor than spiders. They're much more fleshy.
Their weak point is completely unarmored and difficult for the spider to
Ah,
counter
that's where their
because
heart is.
any direct attack from a predator can easily one-shot them. Their stealth
Okay.
is their only good stat, with the rest
Yeah,
being mid at best. Of course, that is on average. Some spider builds do specialize in mobility or raw strength.
yeah. Like your jumping spiders have better mobility because they specialize in their jumping ability. So they have certainly have better capabilities in that regard.
Which I talked more about in my spider tier list video. Anyway, the point is what makes spiders broken is not their stats, but their abilities.
Yeah.
Spiders have access to a vast array of powerful perks that dramatically elevate their survival and combat
Is that spider underwater? Is that what it's getting at?
capabilities. Real quick, let's go over some of the minor ones first. The
Okay.
spider's appendages may seem pretty unimpressive, and sure, compared to a scorpion's claws or a locust's legs, they're nothing special.
Yeah.
But a few things. They do have small claws at the end, which grant spiders excellent climbing mobility. And similar to a lizard's
Right.
tail, a spider's leg can snap off if hit by a grappling attack in order to escape a combo. Unlike the
Hmm.
lizard, though, losing only 12% of your legs is a lot less of a sacrifice than losing your only weapon. Many players don't
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
have the nerve to mess with spiders in the first place, though, because of their next ability, Venom. With a
Yeah. You see, like with me, I'm. Don't get me wrong. I'm scared of spiders. Like I don't want to deal with their venom, all that. But I realize that I'm a bigger animal. I can handle myself with it, and as long as I have something that makes it relatively safe, I'm pretty confident in my ability to kill a spider. In fact, I killed one just the other day, big one, at least for me, a little like bigger than a black widow, and like again, I'm like kind of on edge, but I mean, I do it because I'm more scared of the potential risks of letting them live and possibly maybe biting me and getting an armful of venom because there are spiders around here that you don't want to mess with. But yeah, it's definitely a nerve-wracking scenario because of their venom. It definitely does put you on a little more edge.
few exceptions, every spider relies at least partially on venom to bolster their combat strength. This gives their attacks bonus damage, making it a useful deterrent on defense. But more importantly, their venom inflicts the paralysis status effect, immobilizing their prey so that it can be more easily carried and
Yeah.
consumed. Because of how low the spider's base power stat is, this venom often needs to be extremely potent, able to immediately incapacitate its target, giving it no chance to counterattack or escape. Okay,
Hmm.
but enough beating
Interesting.
around the bush. All of those abilities pale in comparison to the spider's signature special ability, spinnerets.
Right.
On this channel, there are a handful of abilities that I bring up over and over as being
Oh.
mind-definingly broken. Tool use, flight, eusociality, echolocation, color change, these all can make or break a character's placement on the tier list. I think silk spinning belongs in this same category. This ability is how spiders broke the game. It is one of the most versatile abilities of all, with applications spanning nearly every aspect of survival, from mobility to offense to defense to tons of niche utility use cases. Let's break it down. The most well-known use is, of course, the standard web trap. A spider player will construct a sticky, net-shaped trap and simply wait for an unsuspecting player to accidentally fly in. Contact with the web immediately inflicts the restrained status condition, which is pretty much instant GG's versus a build that can one-shot you if it lands a hit. But trapping prey really only scratches the surface when it comes to the utility of silk and spinnerets. I'd argue the ability to spin webs buffs literally every aspect of spider gameplay and completely negates all the shortcomings of their stats. In general, spider
Muted. Yeah, that could definitely be true since they don't have to go out and hunt for their prey. They can just sit back and relax. They don't have to be too concerned with, oh, I have to worry about my defenses and my speed and my agility. It's like, no, the overwhelming majority of spiders in some way or form, whether it's webs or just burrowing and waiting for prey to come to them, that is overwhelmingly how they do it. Very few, if any, are active hunters, so that kind of makes up for all their lacking areas, so. Oh, it muted because,
Spiders are not all
okay.
that nimble. Their large abdomens are fairly cumbersome, and without wings, they're far below average as far as arthropods go.
Yeah, I'm getting some muting issues because apparently the space key is tied to mute.
But the amount of additional movement options web spinning gives you is insane. Silk can be used to cross massive gaps with ease. It can be used to completely negate falling damage. It can be used to quickly ascend from a low position. And in some cases, it can even be used to fly, albeit without much directional control, but also without the need for cumbersome
Yeah, that's all good aspects.
wings.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk about stealth. While many spiders do have decent camouflage, webs complement their ability to hide in a few ways. The first is just that it enables
Yeah, like that would be like a form of burrowing spider, I guess. Like they just hide out and wait for prey to come to them, without the use of a web, which I imagine is a costly, so to speak, um, evolutionary trait.
them to hide in plain sight by positioning themselves away from places that a player would normally check. It's very hard for eyes to focus on something unless they already know the general area to look. So just by nature of sitting in an unorthodox spot, many players will completely miss you. But if a
True.
player does detect a spider's presence,
There have been times where I've missed very obvious things because I didn't think to look for them there. Things that were like just out in the open, sitting on a counter or something, but because I didn't think to look there specifically, it's like um since I didn't think to look there specifically, it was just I didn't notice it. So yeah, it's harder to focus on things when you don't know where to look,
there's an advanced technique they can employ
or that they're more this I guess would be more of an appropriate term.
to give themselves a better chance to escape. By mashing back and forth on your controller, you can cause the web to vibrate, temporarily granting you the blurred buff, boosting
Oh
your
yeah,
evasion
I
and
didn't think
making
of
it
that.
much more likely that incoming attacks will miss.
That is true. Like things moving fast would blur, which may help certain case instances.
Webs may be the most useful for boosting the spider's offense. We already talked about the web trap, but there are many more ways a spider can use its webs to increase its odds of a successful hunt. Web
There we
traps
go.
are most useful against flying builds, but webs can also be cast out as a net to target players scurrying along the ground more effectively, essentially
Huh.
bringing the web to them rather than waiting and hoping they wander in. Or if you want to get even more extreme, silk can be fired as a sticky
I guess that could kind of count as a kind of pseudo active hunter because you're still waiting for prey to come to you, but you are like actively, oh, I caught you crawling around, let me get you, kind of thing. You're not waiting for them to come to you so much as you're waiting for them to be in the general vicinity. It's kind of like a hybrid.
projectile to pin down opponents at a safe distance. But you don't need to get anywhere near that fancy with it. Even just the basic concept of using a strand of silk to tether yourself
Leroy
to a surface
Jenkins
gives you so many attack options in combat. Let me give you an example. Pouncing
meme.
strikes are one of the riskiest attacking moves a player can employ in combat. They're excellent for closing distance on a target and dealing damage simultaneously. But if you miss, the momentum from the jump can result in your character ending up in a dangerous situation.
Yeah,
This is usually seen as the signature move of the cat faction.
right.
And in those examples, the
Cats relying on ambush hunting. So yeah, pouncing is usually the way to go. I feel like cheetahs though rely more on their speed.
Worst case scenario is usually just putting yourself in range of a counterattack. But for builds in lower weight classes, and especially arboreal ones, whiffing a pounce attack can literally send you falling to your doom. For
Hmm.
spiders, this risk is completely negated with a single silk tether, meaning
Right.
jumping spiders can get super greedy with their attacks without needing to worry about poor positioning. Silk can even be used to approach from unconventional angles that players aren't used to covering. Great for allowing jumping spiders to attack other spiders' weak points. It really is just an incredibly broken ability, especially for the jumping spider, which can
Right.
combo silk production with its excellent burst mobility. We're not done though, because
And again, jumping spiders can take a more active approach to hunting.
silk production can also be used defensively, mainly in the form of base construction. The standard web trap is technically a form of this, though it's probably the least defense-oriented and frankly leaves you more
Hmm.
open to an attack. But skilled
Bird got a
players
nice
can
little
use their
meal.
webs in a far more defensive manner if they choose.
This goes back to like you don't have good defenses. So when you are in a defensive position, you're not prepared for it. But again, spiders, I don't think are usually in that position. Usually they're snuggled in a corner on their web. The only real threat is web maintenance and prey containment.
Styles like the tent web provide much more cover at the cost of visibility. But if you want to really max out your defenses, the trapdoor spider's strategy can't be beat. Rather,
Yeah. Again, trapdoor, I don't think I'd necessarily consider it active because it's similar to the standard web strategy. You just let it get about as close as possible without noticing you're there, and then you just do a quick bite and subdue it. A little different because they're not like trapped and struggling, but still the same idea as compared to like using the web as a net. It's a little more active in that sense,
than using
in
a
my
spider
opinion.
web to trap its opponents, it instead digs a burrow and uses silk to reinforce the walls and help control the temperature inside, while also laying out a few tripwires on the outside to allow the spider to detect when other players are in range of an
Yeah.
ambush. It is admittedly a bit less precise than more active hunting types are, though. Now, if you really want to go crazy with it, most of the spider's usual enemies aren't going to look for you underwater. So if you've got the
Hmm.
guts to dive down, you can construct a bell web underwater and use that as your home base while you hunt for fish and tadpoles. It's
Interesting. And that's the thing. Like arthropods have an easier time just absorbing water like that. So that would be that is an interesting tactic.
a high risk, high reward playstyle, though, given how many dangerous builds lurk below the surface. Overall, spiders have an incredible array of traits, and with smart play, they can subvert just about all of their weaknesses. However,
Right.
there are still some vulnerabilities that skilled players can exploit. So let's talk about their matchups.
Let's
The
see
spider's
what
best
you got.
matchups are, of course, flying insects. Their
Right.
wings get easily tangled in the web and can get
Yeah.
torn up as they try to escape. Getting trapped is almost certainly GG for them. Reptiles may seem like they should have a solid matchup against spiders, and of course, with their
Uh
massive size
yeah,
discrepancies, it can be pretty unfair.
you would
But
think.
for less tanky reptiles, spiders are a huge threat.
That's a
Overpowered is
big
great at
spider.
blocking
Either that
slashing
or a small
attacks,
snake.
but piercing fangs can puncture right through their defenses and inflict devastating venomous bites. This matchup also really
Yeah, I guess if you can get the upper hand, like land on top of their head or something. Easy, and that's another thing. They're small. Spiders tend to be very small. So like a small spider like just crawling up on like a lizard's head and biting it with potent enough venom. It's like, yeah, it's the spider's gonna have a good day. A nice little feast going on there.
helps it sink in just how strong spider silk is, as even medium-sized reptiles
Oh yeah, that's true. Like look at that black widow lifting that gecko lizard of some sort that's like several times bigger than it. You'd think looking at it from the outside, you'd think that would break. It looks a lot more fragile than it is. Spider silk is very strong, depending on the species, I believe they make stronger or weaker silk.
can't easily shake it off. Frogs, and in particular tree frogs, are an especially explosive matchup. Because both frogs and spiders have incredibly limited
Okay,
defenses, one
Uh, yeah, that's interesting.
One move is all it takes. Frogs can easily one-shot spiders, and because of their excellent burst mobility, it's difficult for spiders to evade
That
their attacks.
is that a because of course this is kind of doctored up like a video game, so I think that was a Battlefront reference. It sounded like the Battlefront when it's scaling into the planet you're about to load into.
But frogs can also easily get caught in a spider's web while jumping through the trees. And once stuck, a spider can pierce through the frog's paper-thin defenses like nothing, resulting.
Yeah, that's the thing. Amphibians, because like certain arthropods, like they kind of absorb oxygen through their skin, so they have very thin skin and help with that. But there's not much to bite through, so like you feel your skin, you can feel it's thicker. It's honestly thicker than amphibians. It's much thinner because it needs to absorb oxygen directly to diffuse into its cells.
In immediate paralysis. A highly volatile matchup, and surprisingly neutral given the amphibian's low-tier status. Beetles are an interesting case. They are flying insects, but because of their absurdly high power and defense stats, they're a challenge for spiders to overcome even when caught in their web.
Yeah, like I said, certain insects, especially beetles, have very tough skin that is going to be very hard and very difficult to pierce.
Their armor is so thick that a spider's fangs might not be able to pierce through.
Right.
They're so strong that even when fully enveloped in a web cocoon, they can sometimes tear through. Spider players are often stuck just sitting and waiting for beetles to either free themselves or die of exhaustion. Birds
Yeah, that
are
would be the
seen
best
as
case
the
scenario
worst
for the
matchup
spider.
for all terrestrial arthropods.
Just best case scenario for a spider, yeah, would be to hope the beetle just kills itself. But then again, like you run the risk of it's still an armored animal and it's taking up space in the web, so I guess best bet would actually be to just let it free because at least then you can repair it and have room for easier to catch insects and insects that you could actually, pierce and uh, eat later.
But at the same time, silk web traps are highly effective against flying enemies, and birds are
But yeah,
no exception. Webs are
let me
stronger
see
cocoons
here.
for small birds, and feathers offer very little protection against venomous fangs. However, if given
Yeah,
the chance, birds will pick off an out-of-position spider in an instant, and the
uh,
bird's armored beak presents no opportunity for the spider to counterattack. Taking out a
right.
spider is worth a lot of XP for birds, as they can also steal all of the insects that are trapped in its web. One of the spider's worst matchups is against bats, which is surprising because it's another fly.
Yeah,
This is because the spider's double team technique has to be used on reaction. So, if a spider ever fails to see an enemy coming, it could easily get one shot before it has a chance to respond. This makes them especially vulnerable to builds with the echolocation ability, as they can strike from total darkness, giving the spider zero chance to.
yeah. I mean, bats are more often than not, at least the ones we think of, nocturnal. But even then, bats are very big animals, and I'm not even sure if a spider's web is big enough to do anything to it in any meaningful way.
Detect the incoming attack before it's too late. And lastly, this isn't a matchup per se, but one of the other weaknesses spiders have are storms. Severe weather events affect web building spiders much more negatively than most characters, as high
Right.
winds and heavy precipitation can render a web ineffective if it doesn't just outright destroy it.
Yeah.
All this to say, if you take away silk spinning, spider.
Webs are strong, but that's a relative thing, like the strength I was talking about earlier with insects and other arthropods. It's all relative. So yeah, if the strands of web were like as thick as rope, yeah, that would be very hard for even weather itself to take down. But they're just so small, they're much easier to break.
Spiders are actually a real mixed bag when it comes to their viability in the meta. But with access to spinnerets, many of them jump from low mid-tier to high tier, with jumping spiders in particular being arguably top tier. Silk really is just that broken. Knowledge of the enemy's weak points and vulnerabilities is crucial
Sponsor
for
time.
survival. This is true not just for spiders, but also.
Another pastime of mine, history. Yeah, I've seen the webcam glitching out a little. It's like a cheap. It's an older, cheap one that I just had laying around. But yeah, I don't know.
For mechanized warfare. To see
Yeah, it looks like
check out
World War II.
the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. Free now on mobile, desktop, and consoles. War Thunder is truly one of the coolest games of all time.
I'm gonna let him
As they
talk.
let you pilot over 2,500 of history's most powerful
That looks like it's yeah, it looks Chinese or Japanese. I believe
war machines.
I think both countries go for like that similar color scheme. I want to say Japanese.
From biplanes and
Is that an hold on? Let me see here. That looks more or less like an F-15,
biplanes and armored cars to
which is kind
fighter
of
jets and
cool.
battle tanks, each of which are
I
just
really like
insanely
F-15s.
detailed. In most combat games, combat kind of just boils down to clicking on the enemy and watching their health bar drain.
Right.
But in War Thunder, this couldn't be further from the truth. Each vehicle is intricately modeled down to its individual components, meaning that if you
Interesting.
know the ins and outs of the enemy, you can royally wreck house by targeting specific weak points like
I mean, I don't know how much of this is just, hype. Like, oh yeah, here's the script. Here's here's your target points that you want to say.
engines
But
and battle tanks. The game even shows you exactly where the damage
if they have any ethics, they're being more or less honest here. So
is, with its awesome X-ray view system, so you can learn and fight at the same time. The level of detail is truly unparalleled, not just for vehicle models, but for sound effects and environmental designs too. So don't just sit on the sidelines. Join over 70 million other players in epic PvP
okay,
battles today
cool.
and delve into the breathtaking experience that is War Thunder. It might be hard to believe, but somehow even with this unmatched treasure trove of nearly endless content, this game is still somehow free. You can get it on PC, Xbox.
Yeah, I think those guys charge for everything. So free in quotations.
PlayStation and mobile devices. Sign up using the links in my
But yeah,
video
very.
behind or video
I
description,
do
and
like
you'll
war
even get a
history.
massive bonus pack for both new and returning players that haven't played for at least 6 months for PC and consoles, which comes with exclusive vehicle decorations, 100,000 silver lions, boosted experience, and a bunch of other goodies. This offer
Right.
is only available for a limited time, so don't delay. Check out the action-packed experience of War Thunder today. Thanks again for watching, and as always, good luck out there.
All the links if you wanna check those out. Back into it. Oh, it's this is the end of the main thing. Yeah. Okay. And just rolling the credits. Okay. Let's move on to casual geographic. But I'm going to take a quick little break. Shouldn't be any more than 5 minutes, if that. So yeah. Okay. Now we are back. Give me. Like I was saying. Now we are back. This is Casual Geographic. Enjoy watching his videos too. Um, a little more serious, not as focused on the kind of gamification of this whole thing. But I assume it's on the thumbnail and title. It's probably about cephalopods or maybe a specific kind like squid, but I assume it's about just general cephalopods.
No friends, no family, no wife, no life, underlooked, you're chronically cooked, abject, inept, disrespect, and often neglect. For an animal allergic to love, nature sure did consummate their misery. The octopus is a
Yeah,
high-functioning, overachieving tentacle slug. As a mollusk, they have a family reunion more confusing than Nick Cannon's, where they have every
it's actually crazy how big The mollusk family is like, it's probably the most diverse group of animals in the animal kingdom. Like, it's so diverse. Uh, there's not just this one thing, because I watched other TierZoo videos. They would talk about this, but there's not just one thing, like one ability that you could lock down. Like apes, it's like, yeah, smart, intelligent, whatever, or a lot of primates in general. Um, just generally smart. Um, but mollusks, it's like the cephalopods, especially squid and octopus. Yes, they are smart, but like mollusks like snails or clams really aren't. Like even some cephalopods like the cuttlefish might not be all that smart. So even within the cephalopod group of mollusks, it's like you're not really getting such that one trait as you are when you block it down to squid and octopus, but specifically.
Everything from a venomous anime fighter jet to this thing,
uh,
which means the octopus is basically an overqualified
uh,
snail that lost its shell and had to overcompensate. Now, they do have a lot going for them. They wouldn't have lasted 300 million years of reverse plot armor otherwise, but call them
right.
cosmic calamari the way they get absolutely deep fried by fate. They're built like malicious compliance. Like the boss's brat demanded an octopus and the developer had no choice and did so out of spite. You're gonna learn that the animal sans a skeleton got entirely T-boned by nature. It all starts when they're born. Octopus
Yeah,
don't just have the worst predator spree of
orphaned.
any animal. Anything from cod, sharks, dolphins, stingrays, seals, sea lions, sea birds, sea otters, sea stars, eels, other
Right.
octopus, and especially humans will all put an octopus out of order in the name of protein. Dolphins will even tag along stingray
Yeah,
eggs to allow the rays electro.
I don't get eating octopus. That would not be my first choice in food. Like, not saying you obviously can eat it, but you could also eat a slug, and I wouldn't want to. That just does not seem like an animal I'd be considering eating.
Reception to lead it to a hiding octopus. Mind you, stingrays are like 2D sharks, and them and dolphins pulling up is like if the Reds and Blues of Los Angeles took the day off to go boo the Clippers. But dolphins don't need help finding an octopus, as dolphins have been observed tenderizing the
I
underwater.
assume that's in reference to their intelligence, because rays and dolphins are both very intelligent. Which with rays, it's surprising because, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier, cold-blooded animals tend not to be intelligent. Now, that's because intelligence is metabolically expensive, and cold-bloodedness is not the, you don't want to invest in a high metabolism with being cold-blooded. So you can see why they disproportionately are not the smartest animals.
8 foot by repeatedly slamming them. Sea lions got the same playbook, as they'll swim to the surface and also maul the mollusk, serving Suplex City so hard it wakes the ghost of Hulk Hogan. It's how animals.
In fact, I would say when you are warm-blooded, like birds and mammals, it is more of an incentive to become smart because you already have a high metabolism with the warm bloodedness. So adding on the extra metabolic rate to with intelligence added on top of that isn't really going to be such of a leap as if you were cold blooded.
Animals with no forks or knives can tear it into bite-sized chunks, but it also means octopus might as well be born with a shape before use label. But on the surface, it can look like an interspecies drive-by. Those are far from the only things that violate octopi. Sea otters are like waterproof wolverines that'll rip into octopus like candy. In some spots,
Yeah, the thing about sea otters though is they're cute, so they get a pass for being honestly pretty vile creatures.
they get targeted by the scissor jaws of the bobbit worm, a worm literally named after a woman who demembered her husband with a knife. Moray eel are a common opt to octopus, and they even have a second set of jaws in its
Yeah,
throat to keep
I could
swarms of
see.
prey in its custody, which seems like a suspiciously specific middle finger to a certain boneless entree. Even the things that seem like an easy lick can game over an octopus. In real life, Squidward would have had Mr. Krabs meeting Miss Puff's husband first chance he got. Crabs are like the potato chips of nature, and one-on-one, an octopus isn't losing that matchup unless they happen to get cheap shot by forces beyond them.
Yeah,
As for one crab, an army can easily overwhelm and eviscerate the octopus, who manages to suffer from crabs while only being screwed by fate. They have a similar issue of getting jumped by leather jackets. And I don't mean a bite gang, I mean literal fish eating it alive. against an unassuming shrimp until they get served an appetite suppressant in the form of a bullet fist. It's so bad,
Hmm.
it's confirmed octopus
Yeah, but it's shrimp that could punch like at 50 miles an hour.
have night terrors about being eaten, with some filmed going from deep sleep to suddenly thrashing and inking themselves. And if PTSD ain't bad enough, octopus can OD on that same ink. I was not kidding about malicious design. Imagine your biggest hater being your own creator, because the octopus seems to be at war with its own anatomy. Let's count the ways.
Yeah, I can assume what he's talking about.
Octopus will use ink as a smokescreen to escape, but if they can escape their own bomb, they'll suffocate and meet Nemo's mom. Self-toxic ink
Hmm.
is just where it starts. Octopus got no bones, no armor, no nails, just a massive chewy gelatinous protein. They do
Yeah, it honestly seems like the smarter the animal, the less naturally prepared they are, so to speak. Is like they're weak. They're physically weak. They have to rely a lot more on their brain than their actual natural defenses.
have a powerful bird-like beak, but a hitbox that small and a hurtbox the size of Madison Square Garden is deplorable design. And their build means virtually any shot you take is a headshot. Another thing is,
Yeah.
octopus have three hearts, one central and two branchial hearts to pump blood to the gills, because apparently 300 million years wasn't enough time to make one cell functioning. And while that's kind of a joke, what isn't is the fact that them swimming fast takes so much energy, the systemic central heart literally stops beating. They count on cardiac arrest to get to where they want to go, meaning an octopus can be swimming for its life. Even at maximum effort, their best attempts are half-hearted. Octopus proved that a lot of us had evolution wrong.
That is interesting. Just you have three hearts, so I guess one going into cardiac arrest wouldn't be so much of a big deal.
It's just barely being good enough to keep the wheel going. And if that doesn't prove it, their brain does. Not intelligence. I mean the literal donut that has its esophagus running through it. Octopus
Yeah. Yeah, that's how weirdly they're built. They have they have to have a donut-shaped brain so that their esophagus could go in between, I guess, it through it, however you want to phrase it, because it's not technically going through it so much as it is just not around it. The best way you could describe it is um, around it or something like that.
risk brain damage every time they eat, and they're always a piece of food too big or too short
Yeah,
away from
because that's the thing. If it like flexes in just the right way, food comes in contact with the brain, and brains are not something you want to come into contact with other objects.
factory resetting their entire personality, which is why they have the razor sharp radula, the answer to a problem they never even asked for. That's not the only thing that can bring on cephalopod CTE. Since octopi can't thermoregulate, sudden changes in temperature can also cause significant brain damage for an animal that lives in the ocean. But remind me to get back to that. But none of that can top the fact that nature gave octopus a built-in self-destruct button.
Oh yeah, I know.
In essence,
This
is the process of deteriorating with age, the withering of
right.
functional characteristics in living organisms. Basically, what kids think turning 30 is. It happens to everyone, but nature chipped Octopoda with a kill switch. It's no secret that making babies is the last thing an octopus will do, as the process seems to give both parties dementia, as they lose all sense of self-preservation. Symptoms
Right.
in essence include lack of feeding, skin around the eyes retreating, white lesions forming, and awkward, uncoordinated movements, almost like they have no purpose beyond this point, but some seem to actively crave the sweet release.
I mean, evolutionarily speaking, they really don't. They pass on their genes, and as long as the next generation survives to do the same, they technically fulfilled their role. Like, we like to think of, oh, what's the meaning of life and all these philosophical quandaries, and the scientific answer is just really breeding, carrying on your genes so that the next generation can carry on what fraction of your genes they have, and so on and so forth until the end of time. That's really the most rudimentary scientific explanation for the meaning of life.
Since captive octopi have been seen trying to rush the process by banging into sides of their tank, tearing off pieces of their own skin, and even getting their tentacles tangled. And it all begins with these two guys. They're small, but they got big plans. Those are optic glands, and they're the double agents that lie dormant between the brain and optic lobe until they get active,
Okay.
usually around the same time the octopi do, and it's believed this triggers them to produce more steroids and boost cholesterol. Specifically, scientists saw more activity in the genes that produce neurotransmitters called catecholamines, along with steroids that help metabolize cholesterol. What does that all mean to you? Well, catecholamines are hormones like your epinephrine and
Okay.
dopamine, basically the fuel to your fight or flight. And in octopus, their job is to redirect energy away from eating and, keeping themselves alive and put it all into raising their own. Especially since that same optic gland will also secrete stuff to turn off digestion, which is why they starve to death. Not only that, but neuropeptides are what
Okay.
causes appetite and hunger, and they get turned off too. Yeah, they put the op in optic. It's a gland, but that optic got a lot of nerve. Because in 1977 in Brandeis University, psychologist Jerome Wodinsky removed the optic gland from a mother 2 spot, and the outcome was they abandoned their eggs, continued feeding, and lived longer. It's literal predetermined self-destruction, and it's the worst.
Interesting.
The Australian anti-kite.
Yeah, this goes back to, oh yeah, your main goal in life is to breed at the end of the day. That's really all there is to life from a purely scientific perspective. So, yeah, an adaptation that would prioritize the next generation would definitely make sense.
This as a similar fate, since males will mate themselves to death, and an increase of steroid hormones in the blood is how the kamikazes can go all out. Those
I do remember hearing about this.
same steroids also nerf the immune system and eventually cause a total body shutdown as they get poisoned by their own supply. But at least when that happens, they've mated with as many females as possible. The octopus
Right.
is very much one and done, and that's why it's survival of just being good enough.
I mean, technically monogamous, but I mean, I'm sure the octopus would mate with multiple other ones if he could.
You can end up lobotomized by your own dental as long
Yep. Problem with that is they breed before this happens. Just continuing the cycle.
as it happens after you breed. That's strictly a you problem.
Yep.
And evolution can't save you from one of the most toxic
If you get killed by your own evolution after you breed, there's really nothing you could do.
relationships underwater as long as it ends with children. Yes, worse than the anglerfish. First of all, they barely tolerate each other. Lady octopus will respond to male harassment by chucking shells like it's Mario Kart. Just when the male thinks he's in the lead, there's a blue shell for his blue balls. It doesn't get much better if Squidward succeeds, since many males are dwarfed by their mates and run the very real risk of being cannibalized, leading to some very questionable mating methods. The blue-lined octopus will inject his mate with a venom while on top, a venom called tetrodotoxin, arguably the most potent neurotoxin out there.
Yeah, tetrodotoxin. No, I think it's solely tetrodotoxin. It has like a ton of different chemicals that make anti-venom with current technology like impossible. The best you could do is put the patient on a ventilator or something like that and just pray.
Make the female angry enough to yeet the male off her back once she's functional again. That's why male octopus have a venom gland 3 times the size of a female's, because ducks have a coital curly fry to force the issue, while the octopus clearly listens to Rick Ross. There is a catch though. If the male doesn't envenomate her in the exact right spot, she can wake up early, and the best case is he gets some of his arms torn off. Of course, some say screw it, literally, and just hand the female his baby arm and swim away. A physical invitation to go feel yourself. After mating, the male basically waits to buy tickets to a Tupac concert. They go AFK, just a catatonic state where they move like an NPC. Also, post-mating males don't return to their dens. They don't even wait for death at home. They just circle the corner anticipating its arrival in the form of sickness, starvation, or getting turned out by a predator. The mother doesn't get off easier, since she gives up her entire existence the moment the eggs come out. She'll spend all day washing them with her siphon and guarding them, all while not going out to eat once. Mothers will eat their own arms before they leave them alone for a second, and that hunger strike can last years. One deep
that's right.
Brooded eggs for a total of 53 months, just under 4.5 years. It was by far the longest brooding period of any.
53 months. Keep in mind that's not eating because you're too busy making sure other things don't eat it. Like, that's the thing, like elephants, penguins, etc. Or well, maybe not specifically penguins, but these animals tend to go off and eat. Like, I mean, mammals obviously they have their young with them all the time. You know, whether it be in a pouch or in a placenta, they have them their young with them all the time, even for birth. Where like birds, reptiles, fish, and monotremes like the platypus have eggs, so they have to be a lot more careful with how they uh, go about watching over them. But especially once they're born, birds and mammals alike, birds especially will leave their young alone, so they could go get food. Mammals, depending on the mammal, I guess. Other mammals still leave their young while they go on the hunt, but uh, I feel like um, it's a good chunk of mammals that, especially herding mammals, that will stay with their young even as they eat.
Animal, and she even turned down crabs offered to her by researchers. Like all octopus, once the eggs hatch, the babies swim to the surface and spend their early days drifting the current. And if motherhood doesn't murk her, the sheepus just waits for something like a pack of starfish to put her in her place. That placement is
Okay,
tense. It's the worst outcome of any mother, worse than cheetahs, hyenas, and even the
right.
sea louse. The payoff is all the kids she spawns. The giant Pacific octopus can have
Yeah,
over,
because let me go back there.
and even the sea louse.
Yeah, so mother cheetah, I mean, cheetahs in general just get absolutely packed by hyenas included. So like they're just going to struggle in that regard, just trying to survive in general, much less having uh, their babies and all that. Hyena mothers, yeah, their birth canal is very bad. I'm not going to get into the details, but there are other casual geographic videos that go over that. Sea louse, another casual geographic lesson for me. Uh, where, I mean, the mother's alive till they're born and could arguably hunt and all still,
The payoff
maybe.
is all the kids she spawns. The giant Pacific octopus can have over 100,000 eggs, and some, like the cyanea, can exceed 500,000. With all these eggs
That's
being
a
grains of
lot,
rice, about one or two will live long enough to repeat the cycle.
right? You're not getting much for your investment. I didn't realize it was that much for mother.
As far as evolution's concerned, that's enough. From egg to adult, the octopus's short life isn't a total show. It's a septic symphony, and the biggest insult is the wasted potential. The octopus got straight up cheated, almost like someone.
Right, most intelligent animal, one of the most intelligent animals, and it's an antisocial, short-lived being. There's no culture to be passed down, and that's another thing. Uh, orphan from birth. There's no culture to be passed down, no lessons to be learned. Every octopus has to learn on their own, and yeah, that's probably one reason why you know they're not that advanced technologically. Like whales, dolphins, they have some degree of intellectual advancements, like depending on uh, the pod and all. Like you see, there an orca pod in South America that beaches itself. That know like certain individuals know how to beach themselves in such a way where they could sneak back into the ocean without completely being beached. And yeah, that's a learned ability that's specific to that group. A learned ability that's passed down generation from generation, and that comes with motherhood. That comes with living in a pod where the octopus doesn't get that advantage, despite maybe even being smarter. So yeah, the octopus is not in the best position, you know.
Knew there were a few changes from an obnoxiously overqualified Sigma slug seriously bending the natural order. Octopus don't have hands, but they do have
Right.
arms, and they'll
Yeah.
grow them. With reports of octopus suffocating threats like dolphins and sharks. Specifically,
Oh,
the
they'll even
octopus
take
cut
down those
its
guys.
arms down the gills of a pajama shark, nearly putting it to bed permanently. And speaking of sharks, that matchup isn't as one-sided as you think. In a Seattle
Okay.
aquarium, one octopus earned himself solitary confinement, and the reason was Stapp kept finding the bodies of dead, butchered dogfish sharks all over the tank floor until cameras caught the neighborhood octopus murking any sharks that were put in the tank with him. Octopus will square up with sea lions with everything they have, and even ship-sinking stellar sea lions can struggle with a vindictive hors d'oeuvre. Even
Right.
the Seagull of America can get it, and there's at least one seagull with
I feel
octopus.
like in nature, it's a lot about dealing with things. Like, if something's more trouble than it's realistically worth, if you're going to put yourself in an unreasonable amount of danger to hunt something, it's not worth it. You know, like, and animals smart enough to realize what is and isn't worth it, they're going to have a better chance at survival because they're just not going to deal with things that aren't worth dealing with. So, a lot of animals will probably find avoiding octopus to be a good idea.
In its obituary. Not to mention Neptune's hitman has enough awareness of human anatomy to attempt to play hangman. But the octopus's biggest flex is their shape-shifting. Octopus have the ability to change colors
Right.
despite being colorblind. It's said that their skin
I think even texture.
shadows and colors around them and can conform to their environment. Some, like this cyanea, can make hundreds of transformations in a day. But one octopus does this on steroids. The mimic octopus can not only cosplay as other animals, it'll purposely exploit their own fears. If a mimic's getting harassed by some punk-ass damselfish, it'll take the form of a venomous sea crate.
Huh.
If the block's real hot with predators, the mimic mirrors the biggest threat in the area.
I assume they're able to just like do some sort of local camouflaging and more accurately imitate other animals that way.
A lionfish, but you can have all the tools
Oh,
in the world. It means
interesting.
nothing unless you know how to use them. And few things
Very
alike
poisonous
such
fish.
the tools as the eight-armed handyman. The coconut octopus got its
And yeah, this goes back to, well, individuals can learn. There can never be this generational innovation. If so, who knows what the octopus would be at right now?
name because it'll appropriate the shells of the fruit as a travel-sized panic room. Pretty much
Yeah.
equipping the shell that time took away from them.
Which artificially makes them tougher. Like, the octopus defensively is weak. It is not good. Same with squids and all that. But if they're able to utilize shells to better defend against things, you're going to be better off.
Some will go incognito by using shells to hide in plain sight. They don't always use tools to avoid problems. Some, like the blanket octopus, invite them by stealing Portuguese man-of-war tentacles and practicing ocean open carry. And as predators, some have learned to drill holes in prey in the exact spot needed to neutralize them. They say
That is interesting. Now, that isn't uncommon. Like, again, orcas know exactly how to get the specific parts of other prey animals that they want to eat, like swim bladders and such. But it's not unheard of.
the octopus have the intelligence of a 3-year-old, yet man's moving like a pre-med major. And it's probably because octopus don't have one brain, they have 9. Each arm basically has a mind of its own, meaning 2/3 of its own cognition lies outside its own head, with over
Right. Yeah.
2,000 suckers that all move independently.
Don't know what I'd add to
Arms
that.
that can independently learn more about the world around them. A cornucopia of consciousness, a borderline hive mind. Y'all forgot about that temperature problem, right? Well, octopus can edit their own RNA based on how hot or cold the water around them.
RNA, basically half a DNA strand. You uncoil it and tear it down the middle. RNA is also easier to edit because there isn't that other strand checking for matches so much.
It's basically a built-in thermostat that protects them from breaking their brains. All that brain power is how a snail's uncle is smart enough to solve problems, and in some cases become one. Some octopus have learned not only uncle is smart enough
Let me
to
see that
solve
again.
problems, and in some
Yeah, red and a jellyfish.
cases
Not entertained. Yeah, good joke.
not only when and where crabbers will show up, they'll time it just right to where they'll swipe the crab from the trap, disrespect his name's Steve's entire livelihood, and vanish, leaving behind corpses.
I assume this is a specific documentary. That's how they. And again, named Steve.
Octopus can also tell people apart, and sometimes they'll end up having beef with one in particular, and will squirt them and only them. Some don't even stop at people. Otto the octopus decided he didn't like an overhead light, so he climbed to the edge of his tank and shot water at it, causing the entire aquarium electrical system
Interesting.
to go out. And he did this night after night, repeatedly,
Until it
until
was
it was
gone.
caught on. So why am I telling you how smart a Second Amendment slug is? It's because they could and should be smarter. Most high IQ creatures have two things in common: they're social and live in groups, and they live long. And sometimes
And the octopus has neither going for them. That is why you don't see Atlantis. If it wasn't for that, you might see Atlantis. If the octopus lived 50 years and had the cultural capabilities of any ape or any other most a lot of other at least um uh, intelligent animals, yeah, they might build underwater cities. That's a scary thing.
those two things
There's one limiting thing, that being fire. They can't create fire underwater, so therefore it's going to be harder, but they already got the intelligence there, I think, to potentially get the intelligence where, because that's the thing. Fire is important for um, cooking meat, which makes it easier to develop intelligence. It's better for the brain, blah blah blah. But octopus is already there.
combine to form number three. They're led by a grandmother. This means not only can they spend years and even decades learning.
Yeah, that's the thing about orchids. Like, I think you went over it. Orchids do go through menopause, which is not common in mammals. Um, Meaning that grandmothers that are now infertile lead pods and help educate the next generation.
They can pass it down, building a generational database of knowledge.
There
Octopus
you
have
go.
none of that. Every
Nope.
octopus is born an orphan. It's like a video game with no save
Right.
points. So every time an octopus passes, everything
Born an orphan that does not like others at that.
it learned along the way goes with it. So every octopus after it has to start from scratch, which puts
That
in
is not a good
perspective the insanity of
thing
what
for an
they
intelligent
accomplish in
animal.
2 years. And that's another
Right.
thing. They only get a couple of years. The intelligence of a 3-year-old just to end their trial to life after 2. If octopus lived longer, lived in groups, and weren't literal deadbeat parents, I'm talking like the Batman kind, it could get scary. And that's why I say octopus got
Right.
screwed. Change one or two things, the entire food chain might fall. Like imagine if octopus just did the turtle thing and just climbed onto a beach, dropped their eggs, and dipped. And it's not like octopus can't climb out of water. They can breathe through their skin for a short period, and they'll use this ability to take lives on land. So why not create them? Except the soft-bodied cephalopods would probably get put on a shirt before they got far.
Right.
Maybe they had like a shell or something to protect them. It's a shame.
I mean, like a snail or even a nautilus, if you really want to get into like the cephalopod aspect of mollusks.
Never came out with anything like that. And then imagine if octopus worked together. Humboldt squid scare me for the specific fact that they kill in packs, and there has to be at least one human who is
Right.
to drown to the abyss and hate crime by the
Yeah.
calamari clan. But aside from
These
violence, imagine
those Humboldts are also like 7 feet long, so I think they're tall. I think at their longest they can get longer than most people.
what a group of like-minded octopi could do. They might mess around and start a renaissance. In fact, what if I told you it's already started? In 2016, in Jervis Bay off the coast of Australia, scientists found a non-human settlement containing residents of gloomy octopus. Up to 15 of them, living on dens on top of scallop shells, doing everything from hanging out, communicating, to fighting, procreating, and even
Okay, so how is this going to end is my question, because octopus not known for doing most with it, but hey, maybe they started advancing. I don't know.
evicting particular offenders from their den. It's like an octopus suburb. It's a cephalopod community, and scientists
Right.
named it Oclantis. And it's not the first. Octopolis was discovered in 2009, except Octopolis was founded around a huge human-made metal object. And no, they're not actual
Right.
cities. It's just cute to call them that, but you gotta ask, what are they cooking? One can only pray they don't F around and invent capitalism. Because the last way octopus got screwed by nature isn't actually natural, but it's by humanity. 300 million years of character development just to end up in a glass box is brutal. And thanks to pretty privilege, good luck getting the public to care about their mental health the same way they do with cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Despite arguably being just as smart. And if an octopus can have nightmares and predator
Probably smarter.
PTSD, safe to assume they suffer from being confined to a fishbowl, just like orcas. Except orcas are a lot louder about their displeasure. In fact, there's no
Yeah.
evidence that octopus are fully capable of catching feelings and forming attachments. Remember that next time an influencer tries to mukbang one still alive. I guess what I'm trying to say is octopus deserve way more credit than they get.
Not sure why you'd do that. And oh, hello, first time chatter. Just saw you. Not sure how long you've been here, but yeah, octopus, very smart animal. We could definitely debate the ethics of keeping them in confined. But yeah, that I mean, confinement can be a necessity because you don't want animals to go extinct and all that. So I believe Casual Geographic said as well, like zoos aren't like this inherent evil so much because they can do a lot of good for animals and preservation. It depends on the zoo though.
Really out of this world. And maybe that's why the world tries so hard to remove them. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Drink water, hug your mother, buy my book, spare a thought for the old octopus. And I'ma see y'all in the next one.
Uh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's really all I had planned for today. So yeah, I know I'm doing short stuff. I've got my own worries to worry about. Um, I might do a little longer streams. I want to do some gaming stuff. But yeah, I think I'll have to end it here. So if you liked, please give a follow. That would be very much appreciated. I am doing Friday. I want to do some gaming things. I might just do some reactions for now until I could think of a game to do. But yeah, so I'll leave it there for now. I want to do some longer streams if I could just find some more content. Maybe like do an hour of reaction, 2 or 3 of gaming. I don't know. I'll figure it out. So yeah. If you liked, please consider follow, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.